Greetings, everyone. We are back at it again. We don't stop. We don't sleep. We just grind. We're out here to get this money. AG and John Ryan are here. We're going to talk about the Browns plus 3.5 at the Dolphins. We got an over under of 49.5. That seems criminally low. Have you seen what these two teams have done in their last two games? Just putting points up left and right. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right.
Well, I will say, Chad, we don't sleep much, but when we do, we sleep pretty comfortably because we sleep on our money pillows, and
Right.
as long as we're successful as we do this, it's worth staying up some extra hours grinding it out, right, John?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. It is a grind.
Mm-hmm.
No question.
Oh yeah. No, I took the over. I forget exactly what number I got it at earlier in the week. Do you remember, Chad, on our early line show?
No, was it 46
I forget.
and a half or 47
It
and a
might
half?
have been 46 and a half, I think,
Yeah.
or 47 and a half. So I got a couple extra points when I got it early, but 49 and a half, I mean, I still kind of lean this way. We saw what the Bears and specifically Justin Fields did running all over the Dolphins defense last week. And in comes the perfect team for that matchup is the Cleveland Browns with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, the two-headed monster. So I think they'll be doing pretty much the same thing Justin Fields was doing. And the Browns have a little bit better of a passing game. They got some weapons on the outside. Njoku should be coming back. And then on the Dolphins side, I mean, we don't even have to talk about why they can put up points. And against this Browns defense isn't amazing by any means. So, I think this over could smash. I think it could be a 35-31 type of game.
Yeah, I agree. I actually like the Dolphins here. And, it's a tough handicap because they're playing in Germany. And, it's not even like London yet.
That's the Bucks game.
That's the Bucks Seahawks game. This one's in Miami.
I'm sorry, you're right. My bad.
This one's in South Beach.
We were just talking.
We're doing the Germany game.
Right before we did this.
We're doing the
that's
Germany
why
game.
John had that in his head. But yeah.
I have it right in front of me, 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, that was pretty funny, and that's a lack of sleep. But
there we go.
Nevertheless, the Dolphins remain my side here. You're going to bet on favorites, including Pick'em. Both teams' defenses are not all that good, allowing between 23 and 27.5 points per game. The favorite being the Dolphins has played 2 games in which they have been in track meets, the combined score of 50 or more points in each game, and the game taking place in the second half of the season. That puts the Dolphins 42-14 straight up. That's 75% if you want to play the money line. 38-17 with one push, ATS for 69% since 2010. And for that reason right there and my predictive models, the Dolphins look pretty good to me.
All right. So the only thing that I would be a little concerned about with both the over and then that kind of tightens up possibly the window on the spread is we do have this hurricane that's going across Florida, and I know you're starting to see some of the effects of that in the Thursday night game with what's going on in Carolina, and I'm just wondering, even by Sunday, what's the weather going to be like, and what's the field condition going to be like? I'm assuming these are NFL stadiums. They drain well at this point. So as long as it's not storming day of or morning of, it should be okay. But it is just something to keep an eye on as we get closer. If for some reason that storm decides to hover around or circle back a little bit or anything and create some ugly weather, it could put a damper on this over and possibly even the Dolphins. But I'm with you. All things being equal, normal conditions, South Beach, I like the Dolphins a lot with this -3.5. I do like Cleveland to score a lot, though. That's why I like the over so much in this game, because I don't think either of these teams is going to be able to stop each other. I just think when it comes down to it at the end, the Dolphins are more capable of some of those big explosive plays, and also I think they'll probably convert more of those third downs to stay on the field a little bit longer and get that one late score to win this by a touchdown or so.
Yeah, and I will say, Chad, also to your point about the over. I mean, you always got to be cautious with taking an over this high when when at least one of the teams is very, very run heavy. The Browns are going to kill a little bit of clock, but I feel more comfortable being that the Dolphins are on the other side of that, and they're going to be passing the ball downfield. a lot of big plays, quicker drives. You know what I mean? They're not going to do that long, methodical 4 yards of carry, 3 yard dump off, those types of drives that take up a lot of time. They score fast when they score. And even the Browns can too, with like Nick Chubb breaking one. And speaking of that, I'm just browsing through props while you guys were talking. And Chad, I got good news, bro. They brought back Nick Chubb's longest rush prop. They did the books. None of the books played this last week, John. None of them had it available. DraftKings has him this week at 17.5. It's because the over was smashing every week. They were scared last week. They just didn't put it up at all. And me and Chad, that's like one of our auto bets. Like we just go right to that every week if we're talking about the Browns. But on another note, one thing I also do like, they have his yards prop set at 76.5, and I'm going to take that as well. I think they'll be running all over no matter how this game goes. I do kind of agree with you guys about the Dolphins. If I had to pick it, I would pick the Dolphins on this spread. The Browns, they're just prone to losing close games at the end. And if this is going to be a back and forth shootout type of game like we're laying out here, that's kind of the Browns' Achilles heel right there. And the Dolphins, they've been able to manage those pretty well lately. Even that Ravens game where they were down by so much, they ended up covering 3.5 in that game. So, we know the Dolphins are capable of doing it. We know the Browns are capable of losing it. But I still do like Nick Chubb to have a pretty good day.
So I want to push back a little bit on what you said about the Browns being so run heavy, being a potential detriment to this over. I think when you look at some of the weapons that they have in the passing game, I think the running game actually opens things up for Brissett and Cooper. And now that you get Njoku back, like there's some opportunities for them to still throw the ball. And then the other thing is too, as you pointed out when you went through your matchups here, you've got the Browns with the third best rushing offense in the NFL, and the Dolphins are 16th in rush defense. So there's a matchup to exploit there where, like, even if they're not hitting those big pass plays because the Dolphins are committing resources to the run, if they're not committing those resources to the run, they're already struggling against the run when they do. So I think it opens up an opportunity for Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, maybe even Brissett here and there with his legs to break off some big plays and keep this score going up. So I think there's a path to the over, even with their style.
I do agree there. Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys make good points because Cleveland is a balanced offense. I think where the bias comes in is that he ranked number 2 in the NFL, averaging, I believe it's almost 2 touchdowns rushing per game.
Yeah, that's how
so
they get
you
into
see
the end
that,
zone,
Yeah. And the Miami rushing play percentage is 37.3%. That ranks 25th. And there again, that's evidence of what Adam said with Miami's going to throw the ball, and they're going to throw the ball again and again. And I do think that Cleveland back end, the secondary is vulnerable to this attack. And it is a constant threat every single play that not only do you have to protect the vertical routes, but you also have to have literally a spy every single play on Tua. And that's hard to do. And it almost reminds me of an offense that's similar to the Eagles, except the Eagles executed such a much, much higher level. They've only had 3 turnovers in 8 games. That's just remarkable. And that's the difference between Miami and the Eagles. But Miami ranks very high in a lot of my advanced metrics in the NFL offensively. So maybe they'll take an attitude that we're going to run up the scoreboard as high as we can. And if you can match it, God bless you. But that points to you guys being on the over. So I think it easily plays into the 50s.
Exactly. I agree. Go ahead, Jeff.
The one concern that I do have is, like, Cleveland's averaging 35 minutes a game of possession, and Miami's averaging around almost 32 minutes a game of possession. So both teams are averaging more time of possession than their opponents. So that could mean more sustained drives for both teams. They both do pretty well on third down, on keeping drives moving. So that could lend itself to maybe more sustained drives, and you end up with like 1 or 2 fewer possessions than you would think, fewer chances at points. But I think that also it balances out with their efficiency at scoring when they do have the ball.
That also points to more. This point is more so for the Dolphins side than the Browns probably. But without looking at the numbers, that also points to the fact that the defense is on the field less. You know what I mean? If the Dolphins are giving up a 60-yard rushing touchdown to Justin Fields every other possession,
That's true.
the Dolphins offense is going to be on the field even if they're getting quick drives. And I think that, I think that points more towards the Dolphins side than the Browns. So I think the point you made is a pretty valid point. For the Browns side, they have a little bit of a better defense, on paper at least, and when you're looking at them. So I do agree with that too. Hey, if you're new here, real quick, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We do this every week. We got a bunch of games that we cover, as well as the Sunday show where we will lock in these props. But we're kind of just talking about the ones that are out early. We don't even have, much. We only have like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt for receptions right now and things like that. So Sunday morning is when we'll actually lock in and get our best value plays. One more point that I wanted to make for the over and why there is probably going to be a lot of points here. When you look at red zone touchdown percentage also, on both sides here, the Browns offense, they're 11th in red zone touchdown percentage. They not get a touchdown 61.3% of the time that they're in the red zone. And the Dolphins defense, they're 29th in that category. They allow a touchdown 70% of the time that the opponent is in the red zone. And then on the flip side, the Dolphins offense, they're 6th in red zone touchdown percentage at 69%. And the Browns defense is 20th. They allow it 58.6%. So, I mean, if these teams are driving it all, getting yards, using the other team's weaknesses to their advantage and getting the ball up the field, once they get to the red zone, both teams traditionally this season have been getting into the end zone and both defenses have been allowing touchdowns. So, I like there to be touchdowns instead of field goals, which obviously helps our case for a 50-point over.
I dig it.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to point out here on this game?
Well,
I have nothing more to add on this one.
I would be remiss if I didn't tell you what my model says about this game. It says take the Dolphins minus the points. My model says Dolphins minus 6.5. That is assuming the over. Let me make sure because I got to check, because what I do is I take my model and I use the over under as my. Oh no, so it's only on 45. So let's change that. Let me make sure that's right. Give me just a moment, if you'll bear with me. So,
John? What other player props would you single out? I know we don't have like exact numbers, but while Chad's looking for that, maybe just matchup situations or things you might be thinking about in this game. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, things of that nature. Like just giving a shout out to the names and Oh, you're on mute, John. You're on mute.
There we go. I think all of the above, Adam. I think this is where you look at overs and, they're going to be priced accordingly. I mean, the market has been going up. And when these prop bets are released, they're going to reflect the fact that the line has moved so much. So you have to be a little careful, but it seems to be a game that the market's not going to move fast enough and as much as necessary. And that any of those three names, two over passing yards, touchdowns, passing touchdowns, that is. Waddle, I think, would be my favorite one for longest completion. To bet over whatever that number is going to be, which I'm going to throw out there at 37.5.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, 36, 37, 38, somewhere in there.
I mean, if it's less than that, I think that's a real good opportunity, but I would put fair market at 37.5. And the rest of the guys, you can take flyers, maybe, play even a backup tight end on the Dolphins whose name escapes me, but I like doing that, especially when, like at the beginning of the year when Pitts was supposed to be the go-to guy for the Falcons, he wasn't. But now he's gotten to the point where, and we're talking Thursday night here, but people will be watching this after it. But I think tonight you have an opportunity to get on a guy like that pretty cheaply. But there's a lot of backups in the league right now, tight end, and even running back, where you can, even a guy like Saquon Barkley, he'll be like over 2.5 receptions. Every week you got to look at that, and as long as the juice isn't minus 130, it's kind of a no-brainer. But I think Waddle is the best option this week, and make anybody can make a case on any of the over bets involving Waddle, and I would agree.
So real quick, just we do have a couple of the numbers. I'll just go through what we do have set right now for the names that you mentioned. For Tua's passing touchdowns, it is set at 1.5, but you're eating a ton of juice if you want to take the over there.
Mm-hmm.
The best you're getting is -165 on BetMGM and DraftKings for 2 touchdowns. But I mean, there's a chance that goes up to 2.5, maybe, probably not likely, but that is super juiced up early in the week. So probably stay away from that, even if we like it. And then his yards are set at 268.5 at -110 on BetMGM. So that's some good value there. And I just clicked out of this. Hold on 1 second. Jalen Waddle's receiving yards are set at 68.5. We don't have his longest catch yet, but receiving yards 68.5, -115. Oh, actually, it just went up to 69.5 as I was doing this. And Tyreek Hills is set at 91.5. That actually was 90.5 a minute ago. So while John was talking, it moved up both of those by a yard. I guess
the over-under is going to be 52 by the time Sunday gets here.
Gambling gods are listening to John Ryan right now because they moved that up as he was talking. He's like, oh, they're going to be throwing on this. Let's move it up.
I mean, honestly, I can see Waddle having a 100-yard day and, 8, 9, 10, 11 catches. So even though the touchdown for Tua is -160, you said, you could actually arbitrage it with betting that he does not do that, getting plus money, and then bet over passing yards. So that if we're not right on the over, it's almost like a hedge on the over, which I hate hedging. I hate that word, period. But I'd have to look at that a little bit more. But it seems like an interesting opportunity, given that it's way up there at -160. At the same time, maybe doing the -160, which is really rare for me to even consider, because the total's 49.5. I mean, what is the likelihood he's going to throw one touchdown?
Yeah, and they're you talked about how the Browns are a team that runs the ball to get into the end zone. The Dolphins, they pass the ball, for the most part.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, I don't know if you could pull that up real quickly and see what their number is. But you're getting some good value if you do want to fade Tua here on those touchdowns. If you take the under 1.5, you're getting plus 130 on BetMGM and DraftKings. So I mean, if you want to consider that, I'm not gonna fade that. I don't think. I think he's got to hit that. So if anything, I would eat the juice, but I'm probably just gonna stay away.
So I did look at it, and the spread is 3.5, and the model says Dolphins -6.5. So that's a suggestion that you take the Dolphins minus the points. And I mean, I wouldn't hate you if you teased it a little closer, maybe even played the money line on that one. The money line on those is 13-3, so that's not a bad play either. But it's just you're going to pay some juice. So
yeah, definitely.
Dolphins average 2.2 passing touchdowns per game.
See, there
you go.
That's it.
Yep. I don't think this Browns defense is going to be the one that starts slowing them down yet.
No.
But I think we're consensus on a shootout and probably the Dolphins winning it by the end, maybe like having the last possession. And usually when we talk about a team winning on the last possession, everybody thinks, oh, field goal, 3-point game. They're not going to cover this 3.5 here. But I think that last might punt in for a touchdown, and then get a stop or something, one lucky rare stop at the end. I could definitely see that happening.
I agree.
Anybody got anything else on this game?
I was just going to say, if the Bears defense and what they had done to passing games prior to the Dallas matchup, and even in the Dallas matchup, that it wasn't like Dak went off, the running backs went off, especially Tony Pollard. If the Bears defense couldn't slow down this Miami passing attack for touchdowns, then I don't think that the Browns are going to do it. So yeah, I like that as well. That's it. That's all I got.
Word. Let's get it. Happy betting. Oh shit. Happy betting, everybody. Hopefully your bets don't stall out like my voice just did on me. But we'll be back with some more games throughout the week. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button. All of John Ryan's information is in the description box. Also, give him a follow. He's on fire. I mean, what's your NHL record right now? 14-3. He was advising us not to tail him.
15-3.
Oh, there you go. 15-3 now. So don't tell him on the next one, but the one after that, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. You know what I mean? He's due for 1 L, but the point is it's consistent profits in any sport you can imagine. We literally have a group chat where sometimes we just wake up in the morning. We're like, John, what do we like today?
What are we on today?
He'll throw us a little pick or two as a favor. And those things hit most of the time. More times than not, we're profitable doing it. So best of luck, Ben, everybody. Go ahead and follow him on Twitter and check out his content on gambling.com as well. And on behalf of me, Chad, and John Ryan, peace.
Peace, y'all.